what were some of the challenges you had about fitting culture and math and story all into the same manuscript, which I'm sure you all had that challenge, but Rajani's going to answer the question.
So first of all, what I will say is one of the most interesting things about the way this story came to be is that as a writer and as somebody who has taken a lot of math in their lives, I never really thought about very early math for very young readers. Like I hadn't really thought about that. Even when my kids were little, we kind of just did things and that was it. But the workshop that Charles Bridge put on, where they invited authors to analyze math books for young children and kind of critique them and kind of talk about like what else could we bring to this, really opened my eyes to what constitutes math. And so one of the things, my mind was kind of spinning that day. It was amazing. It was like pop, pop, pop. One of the things that I realized was, patterns are, it's a kind of math. It's early math for little kids. And honestly, it was that day. It was the day of that workshop that I was like, patterns. And I linked it to making beaded bracelets or jewelry. And then it jumped to this Indian holiday. Now, the book is called Bracelets for Bina's Brothers. Most of the time, you wouldn't think about making bracelets for boys. But this is, where the cultural piece comes in, where I was like, there's totally a holiday that is about sisters and brothers, and it's about their love. And so sisters give bracelets to their brothers to kind of protect them, kind of like amulets. And then the brothers give gifts to their sister. So that's how this started. And for me, believe it or not, I don't have any siblings. I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I write about siblings a lot. I have a son and a daughter. And that's where the story came from, was kind of how brothers and sisters love each other. They also kind of can't stand each other sometimes, but they really do love each other. So Hannah, if you wouldn't mind showing the slides. And so Chaya Prabhat is the illustrator, and she just, that is an exuberance of color. And that is so Indian to me, those jewel tones. And I also love everybody's like hilarious expressions and this gigantic dog. Next, please. Okay, so this is the kind of introduction to the story. So it's 1 week until Raksha Bandhan, says Mommy. Shall we buy bracelets for your brothers? And then here is where the explanation of the holiday is, because obviously not everyone's familiar with the holiday. Raksha Bandhan was a special holiday for sisters and brothers. Every year, Bina gave each brother a bracelet to keep him safe. And Bina's brothers gave her a gift and promised to take care of her. Then they went back to annoying her. I'm big enough to make bracelets now, Bina said. Thara can help me make patterns with beads. And Thara is the dog. So I just want to, just go back 1 second. So I just want to talk about a little bit, just how many different colors and so a lot of the patterns that Bina works on in the book are every other one patterns, and how many examples of every other one patterns there are. I'm not an illustrator at all. I am amazed with what an illustrator can bring to a project. So if you look on the kind of right-hand part of the slide, all those bracelets there with every other one, the alternating kind of like pieces of the rug with every other one. It's just absolutely incredible. And then, so one of the things that Chaya just knew, if you look at those little portraits in the frames, she knew the clothes that these kids would be wearing, like no problems. And that wasn't something that I had to explain to her at all. Next slide, please.
Real quick, Rajani, I just want to say too, that this is where the partnership with Turk and with Marlene came in and was so important, because as we were reviewing illustrations as they came in, and Chaya did such an awesome job of putting all that stuff in, but Marlene was the one whose eye and whose math sense could be like, hey, you know what another good place is for alternating patterns? Right here. And then John and I would go, oh yeah. And then we'd tell Chaya and she would add it. And so it was really, this is one of the things about doing books about math, right, is to have the math expert looking at everything is really key too. I just wanted to throw that shout out to Marlene, because God, the way her brain works is so phenomenal.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And then here comes kind of the beginning of the story problem, right? So Bina found Vijay reading. How about a story? He asked. His funny voices made Bina laugh. I know your favorite color is blue, she said, but are there colors you don't like? I don't like green. Why, Giggles? No reason, said Bina, and don't call me Giggles. So I think that's the end of the slides. Oh no, it's not. Oh my goodness, there's one more. Okay, so here she is trying to make some bracelets, okay? This is for one of her other brothers who likes one particular color and doesn't like another. She moved on to Sid's bracelet. She started with his favorite, green. She liked orange, so she used it again. Green, orange, green, orange. Then the music note bead. Then, uh-oh, didn't Sid tell us he hates orange, said Bina. What should we do, Thara? So more every other one. So to answer, this was a long way to get to your question, but I guess the answer for me is that there was a lot to put in. And for me, the cultural context was the easy part. The hard part for me was to make the math make sense, make it be a complete story with, a story problem that kind of goes through some phases where you're worried about whether Bina can actually accomplish what she wants to, and having an ending that is satisfying. So it was a lot of material to put into a book. And, as we know in picture books, we want to try and minimize the words, but some things needed explanation. So we explained them.